Have you ever felt like no matter how much you do, it's never enough? You work harder, run faster, but somehow, peace keeps slipping away. If that sounds familiar, you might be caught in what psychologists call the hustle culture trap. Welcome to Little Wisdom Stories, the English podcast where we learn about life, language, and the mind through meaningful stories. Today, let's talk about burnout and what it really means to find balance again. Modern life glorifies productivity. We wear being busy like a badge of honor. The more we do, the more we believe we're worth. But slowly, we begin to trade rest for results and joy for deadlines. A study by the World Health Organization found that chronic stress and burnout have increased by over 30% in the past decade. We're not just tired, we're emotionally drained. Psychologically, hustle culture feeds on two human fears: the fear of not being enough and the fear of being left behind. Our brains associate achievement with safety. When we achieve, we feel in control, and control feels like security. But in reality, it's a trap. The more we achieve, the more we raise the bar. We keep chasing validation from bosses, from society, even from ourselves. It's what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill, running faster, yet staying in the same emotional place. When we finally understand the psychology behind burnout, that it's not about weakness, but about being human, we can start to heal. The truth is, burnout doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of many small moments when we ignore our limits, silence our emotions, and forget to rest. So the way out isn't a single big change either. It's a series of gentle, consistent steps that bring our mind, heart, and actions back into harmony. After working with thousands of people over the years, I've seen that true recovery happens when we address burnout on three levels. The mind, where we reshape how we think. The heart, where we reconnect with what truly matters. And action, where we build healthy rhythms that sustain us every day. Let's explore each layer and find your way back to balance. As a psychologist with over 15 years of experience, I've seen that the first key to healing burnout lies in the mindset. Hustle culture often plants the idea that your worth equals your productivity, pushing you to feel guilty whenever you're not busy. Psychologically, this all-or-nothing thinking traps us in constant stress. But our brains and bodies aren't built for nonstop strain. We're actually wired to handle stress in short bursts. And it's the chronic pressure without rest that really causes damage. Ironically, working more and more doesn't always mean achieving more. Beyond a certain point, extra hours bring diminishing returns. In fact, overworking can make you less productive and more exhausted. The hustle mindset, therefore, is a false promise that often leads straight to burnout instead of success. Imagine your mind is like a phone battery. If you never let a phone recharge, it dies. And the same goes for your mental energy. I often remind my clients that even machines need downtime. You wouldn't run a car engine 24/7 without expecting it to break down. One client of mine, for example, used to work late every night, convinced that any break was a weakness. Over time, his concentration faded and he felt empty. Once he learned to treat his mind more kindly, taking short breaks and ending work at a reasonable hour, his focus and creativity slowly returned. This realignment proved that our minds perform best when we balance effort with recovery. So, what daily practice can help reset your mind? Give yourself permission to rest. Try a small mind break ritual each day. For instance, pause every few hours for 5 minutes of deep breathing, a short walk, or simply stretching and relaxing. During this break, remind yourself that rest is not something you earn after finishing work. It's a necessity, not just a reward. By consistently scheduling these mindful pauses, you train your brain to let go of guilt and recognize that taking care of your mind actually fuels your long-term productivity and well-being. The second layer is the heart, which represents your emotions, values, and connections. Hustle culture often tells us to grind at the expense of our feelings and relationships, as if emotions were obstacles to success. But in psychology, we understand that your emotional well-being is not a luxury. It's a foundation for resilience. When you ignore your heart, your need for meaning, love, and belonging, you cut yourself off from the very things that protect you from burnout. Many people chase a vision of success, a higher income, a promotion believing it will make them happy, only to discover that this financial-driven mentality can pull them further away from what truly makes life fulfilling. In my practice, I've seen burnout often comes with a sense of emptiness or disconnection, a signal that someone's heart has been neglected even if their career on the surface is booming. For example, I once worked with a client who had poured all his time into his startup, working 7 days a week. He reached his business goals, but felt oddly empty and estranged from his friends and family. He realized he had sacrificed his heart. No time for loved ones, passions, or even to feel his own feelings. This realization was a turning point. He began intentionally scheduling heart time, Sundays with family, weeknights for hobbies and rest. At first, it felt uncomfortable for him to step away from work. But gradually, he felt more alive and motivated. By reconnecting with the people and activities he loved, he not only healed his emotional exhaustion, but also rediscovered why he was working so hard in the first place. His story shows that nurturing our heart gives us fuel and purpose that no amount of hustle can replace. From a healing standpoint, we must remember that no success is worth it if you lose yourself. When burnout hits, no paycheck or title can magically fix the pain. Recovery requires giving yourself time, care, and support from others. So, a daily heart-level practice is to feed your soul and practice self-compassion. Each day, do at least one small thing that brings you joy or comfort. Call a friend just to chat. Play your favorite song. Write down your feelings in a journal, or simply sit quietly with a cup of tea. These little acts acknowledge that your feelings matter. Also, treat yourself with the same kindness you'd give to someone you love. If you're having a tough day, instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," try telling yourself, "I see you're doing your best. It's okay to rest." This kind of self-compassion has been shown to restore emotional balance and protect against burnout. By routinely tending to your heart in these ways, you remind yourself that you are more than your to-do list. You are a human being with hopes, needs, and the capacity to heal. The final layer is action, the tangible changes in your daily life that support your mind and heart. This is where you turn good intentions into habits. From a psychological perspective, escaping burnout isn't just an internal shift. It also requires adjusting your lifestyle and environment. In practice, that means setting boundaries and building routines that protect your well-being. Simple actions make a huge difference. For example, science tells us that trying to hustle 24/7 is unsustainable, and that taking care of your basic needs is non-negotiable for long-term success. Getting sufficient sleep, eating nutritious meals, staying physically active, making time for hobbies, and bonding with people you care about. All these are leisure activities that are actually essential for your health and even your performance at work. Experts recommend actively replenishing your energy by prioritizing those habits: good sleep, exercise, nutrition, social connection, and even mindful practices like meditation or journaling. In short, self-care is not selfish. It's a smart strategy to maintain your productivity and happiness. When you treat your body well and give yourself breaks, you're not slacking off. You're investing in a sustainable, energized you. Now, let's bring this to the real world with an example. Think of how professional athletes train. They push hard during training sessions, but they also schedule rest days to recover, knowing that rest is what makes them stronger. In the same way, you need to balance work with rest to perform at your best. I recall a young entrepreneur I worked with who never used to take a day off. He was afraid his startup would fall behind. He finally tried an experiment. No work on Sundays. At first, he felt anxious and even a bit guilty doing nothing. But after a few weeks, he noticed something surprising. On Monday mornings, he was more energized and focused than ever. Instead of his business collapsing, his creative ideas actually flourished after his days of rest. This reinforced a powerful lesson. By stepping away from work periodically, you come back stronger. Just as an athlete gains muscle during recovery, you gain productivity and creativity when you honor your need to recharge. So, what specific action can you take every day? Begin with setting clear boundaries for your work. Concretely, that might mean choosing a time in the evening to officially clock out. For example, no work emails after 7 p.m., and sticking to it. Treat that personal time as sacred. You can use it to relax and do something you enjoy. Watch a show, cook with your family, or read a book. Whatever fills your cup. By consistently ending work at a set time, you signal to yourself that it's okay to rest, and you give your body and mind a chance to unwind daily. Additionally, prioritize your sleep as a non-negotiable part of your routine. Try to go to bed and wake up at around the same time each day, aiming for enough hours of sleep so you truly feel refreshed. Good sleep is like plugging your phone in to recharge overnight. It restores your mental battery, so you're ready for the challenges of tomorrow. Remember, these actions might feel strange if you're used to the hustle pace, but with repetition, they will become your new normal. Start small and be consistent. Over time, those nightly cutoff times and regular healthy habits build a protective shield against burnout. You're creating a life where hard work and rest coexist in a healthy rhythm. By embracing this action layer, making mindful choices about how you spend your time and energy each day, you'll find yourself not only escaping the hustle trap, but also living and working in a way that's both productive and sustainable. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of one day this week when you felt exhausted but kept going anyway. Now imagine that same day, but you paused for 5 minutes to breathe. Would your world really fall apart? Or would it quietly start to heal? This week, try a small experiment. Choose one moment each day to pause just 60 seconds to check in with yourself. No phone, no goals, just you, breathing. Because rest is not a reward for finishing life. It's a part of living it. Thank you for listening to Little Wisdom Stories, your English podcast for healing and growth. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs a reminder to rest. And remember, slowing down is not giving up. It's choosing to live consciously.